I have already introduced myself, and I want to discuss, in my opinion, and I think this is very basic and fundamental to the success of any scientific writing: the ability to construct concise, clear, and unambiguous sentences. So, in this few minutes, I want to spend the time in discussing how we can achieve this very important feat with our medical writing or scientific writing. I want to see, in fact, as a writer myself, I want to see when scientists write any paper, they should be able to convey their main ideas in a very simple and clear manner. And also, for Meditorha team members, whenever we have any work to do, whenever we are given any task, no matter how complex that work is, our first objective is to be able to identify the main ideas and to be able to convey these ideas in simple and clear manner. Also, if there are ambiguities in whatever text we have been given, we should be able to identify these ambiguities and then to eliminate them. And also, words that are not needed in sentences that make the sentence look stylish but does not add to the meaning should be avoided, and that is redundancy. So at the end of these few minutes, we will have a much appreciation of what these points I've mentioned are. So, why is it essential that we are able to construct clear, precise, and unambiguous sentences? It's simple. You see, when any scientist or any expert writes any manuscript, each sentence that carries an idea from the text should be able to convey exactly the meaning that the writer intends to convey. And I don't need to contact the writer to ask for interpretation of what he or she has written. And this is the ideal situation. So whenever we are writing anything, we have to ensure that this thing that I have written, this message that I am conveying, is it able to stand on its own and then convey its own message, or I have to be contacted at certain times in time to add meaning to what I've put out there? And if any writer, and for that matter, any member of Meditorha is able to modify the text while maintaining the original idea of the writer, and for the general public or for whatever field, people who make use of these texts are able to grasp the exact meaning of the original author, then Meditorha has been successful in carrying out its duties. Now, how can we construct concise, clear, and unambiguous sentences? There are many keys, or there are many principles. I will mention 3 of them here. The first one, which is in fact, the most important one, is that we need to be mindful that when we talk about a sentence carries an idea, and that idea should be complete. So, whenever I construct a sentence or whenever I write anything, that sentence, anyone who reads it should not ask, then what? Or about who? There shouldn't be any question on the mind of the person who reads the sentence. And another point is that maximum, a sentence should carry only 2 ideas. 1 idea is the ideal situation, but 2 is allowed. More than 2 is a no-no. Let's see some examples. Here, we can see what is this in this sentence. We have one main idea, which is an experiment was conducted to define the principle of the conventional tube, gel card, and solid phase technology. Define the principle for what? That would be my question. So, if I am going to modify this sentence in order to remove the for what for anyone who will read it later, to eliminate the question from anybody's mind, I would rather say an experiment was conducted to define the principle of application. Application of what? The conventional tube, the gel card, and solid phase technology. Okay, what are these used for? They are used for blood transfusion. So I have provided a complete information by modifying the sentence to any possible question or doubt that will be raised on the mind of whoever will read this sentence. This is so important. Next, I mentioned that a sentence should convey one main idea in an ideal situation, or the sentence maximum should have two words. Here, each color, black, red, blue, green, represents one main idea. And you realize that in the first example, there is only one sentence, but with how many ideas? 4 main ideas. To make it look better and to give it a more concise and clear meaning, the sentence then been divided into 3. So we have an experiment was conducted to define the principle of the conventional tube technique, the gel card technology, the solid phase technology of blood transfusion. That is one. The study also highlights the test reactions and the various methods of grading reactions for each technology. So the second sentence is linking itself to the first one. The last sentence, which contains 2 parts, says that the study further discusses the automated equipment available for each technology and compares the equipment, test reactions, procedures, and sensitivity of these techniques. This sounds much more clearer and better than the first one, which reads, an experiment was conducted to define the principle of the conventional tube, gel card, and solid phase technology, and also to describe the test reaction and method of grading reaction of technology, and to compare these 3 technologies in terms of, so compare these 3 technologies. The third phrase is linking to the first sentence, which is too far away from it, and this weakens the meaning of the sentence and makes the one reading it becomes confused and lost in the middle. So the second sentence, as we can see and can read, is far, far better than the first one. So key number 1, simple sentences that convey ideally one idea or maximum 2 ideas. Key number 2, our information that we provide whenever we are paraphrasing or we are translating or we are proofreading should be in a chronologic order. What do we mean by this? It means first things first. What happened first? Put it first. What happened next? Put it next. What happened last? You put it last. Arrange it in that order. So we see here the first sentence with no says that sample was washed 3 times after incubation at 37 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. So incubation happened before the sample was washed, and to avoid ambiguity, it's better and more acceptable you write the sample was incubated at 37 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes and then washed 3 times. Or even better, you can say, and then the sample was washed 3 times. In another way, you could say the sample was incubated at 37 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. That's one idea in one sentence. It's enough. You put full stop. Then the next idea, which is the incubated sample was washed 3 times. This is so clear, so precise, and devoid of any ambiguities. Another example is what? We have unbound residual immunoglobulin were rinsed from the wells after a short incubation time. So here again, we have incubation before the rinsing of the wells. Following the principle of chronology, we have here the unbound residual immunoglobulin were rinsed from the wells, and the wells supplemented with an anti-IgG coated red blood cell predictor suspension. And here, what I actually provided here is the second part of the sentence. So if I add the first part of the sentence, what I will say is that the sample was incubated for a short time, then full stop. Then come with my sentence, which is the unbound residual immunoglobulin were rinsed. So here you see, in fact, you have all ambiguities eliminated from this sentence if you make a conscious, deliberate attempt to arrange your sentences one after the other, taking into consideration the time of action. And these points are very important when we are writing the methodology, the method part of any research paper. First things should come first. Key number 3, and the final key, avoiding redundancy. I always say, and I've said this several times, the fewer the merrier, and it's applicable everywhere. If you can construct a sentence with few words, do so. Whenever you have the opportunity to construct sentence with few words and you can still convey the original meaning you want, do that. Use simple words. So here in our example, we have, in fact, hemagglutination occurs when sensitized RBCs are cross-linked by AH. Okay. In fact, if you remove in fact and if you remove by, the sentence will still have its meaning. And so what we have done here is what? We say agglutination is the cross-linking of sensitized RBCs in AHG. Again, the second sentence is clear, concise, and unambiguous. Another redundant sentence or word is either. In this sentence, there are 2 forms of sensitization, either in vivo or in vitro. We can remove either and we can still have a sentence that conveys the original meaning. So when we remove either, there are 2 forms of sensitization, in vivo or in vitro. So 1 word less. Or even much better is that sensitization is either in vivo or in vitro. Short, simple, clear, and unambiguous. So back to the basics, back to what I said in the beginning. The shorter, the better. If you are able to construct a sentence, or if the sentence that has been constructed that we are supposed to paraphrase or we are supposed to proofread, there are certain words, there are certain points, there are certain elements in these sentences that whether they are there or they are not there, the original meaning remains the same, then we should eliminate these words. Also, a sentence should convey one main idea. A sentence is not just an arrangement of words. No, it is an arrangement of words in a certain way to convey a meaning to whoever reads it. And the meaning that I, the writer, have, that I want to convey, should be the same meaning that you, the reader, should also have when you read my sentence. So, we should strive to keep our sentences short, simple, and clear. And I think, and I believe strongly, that if we are able to do this, then we can convey any complex idea to even non-expert people in our fields, and they would not have much questions to ask related to the meaning of what we are saying, but rather questions related to context. Thank you so much for your attention. If there are any questions, you could please ask them.